All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development 1100 C# programming class, I've been doing a series of preliminary videos based on the textbook we're using for the class, that being Murachs C# 8th edition. And I'm up to Chapter 11, and that's on debugging an app. Now, we've already talked a lot about debugging, whether you realize it or not. And they mentioned here in Chapters 3 and 5, we talked about working in break mode, we talked about runtime errors, we talked about the exception handler, etc. But they mentioned here that as your app gets more and more complex, debugging becomes more and more complicated. All right. It can be amongst the most difficult parts of an application. So this particular chapter is broken down into two sections: basic debugging techniques and how to work in break mode. And I think what I'll do, all right, literally this just came upon me right here. And that is, this is the one I did in the last chapter, of course. So let me do a save all here and let me close everything that I've got open. And let's make a new, we'll make a new test project, so it'll be a GUI. All right, and again, this will be test project 8. And some of the stuff that'll be in here will be real simple for you to understand. So let's start by, I'm going to come in and I'm going to create a label. In fact, I'm going to make 3 of them. In just a second, I will make the back color of the label, let's make it a darker green here, and we'll make this a lighter green. I don't know if we've used green yet or not, but that's either way, it's fine. And let's go to the auto size, set that to false. All right, and simply here, for now at least, I'm going to put in 3 labels. I'll put in 3 buttons. I guess we can center that at least somewhat. That doesn't look too bad. Let's move this over a little bit. There we go. And we'll add 3 text boxes. It's a lot wider than we need, but it's all right. And as we have done many times, let's highlight everything here. Let's go to our size, our font, and we're going to make this 22, bold, and Arial. All right, doesn't look like a terrible interface. So let's lock it into place. You've seen this kind of thing before, but I'm going to do it like this anyway. In fact, let me do this because I'm a little quirky about stuff. There we go. All right. Okay, now that pretty much looks the way I want it to look. This will be LBL number 1. And of course it will, the text will be number 1. I don't know what happened. Okay, what is it? What did I change to? That's nice. I changed the name of the form. That's terrible. So let me get rid of this. I'm going to change the name of the form. And I'm going to rename it FRM Debug. That'll work. All right. Label 1, 2, 3. Now this right here. I don't know what the hell happened here, except I screwed up. Yep. So this will be exception, not exception. We'll put debug example, and I'm going to get rid of that name because the name should be FRM debug. All right, so we got that. Now let's come back to here. LBL number 1. And the text will be number 1. This one will be LBL number 2. And the text will be number 2. And then finally, this will be LBL result with the text of result. All right, let's very quickly take these and middle. There we go, that looks okay. So this will now become TXT number 1. This will become TXT number 2. And this will become TXT result. All right, and then finally, this will be BTN calculate. Seen this many times, I know. This will be BTN clear with clear. And finally, this will be BTN exit and exit. Very simple interface. I know you know that. And let's just do our other stuff we typically do. That is, let's set this to center screen. We'll set the accept button to BTN calculate. We'll set the cancel button to BTN clear. And we will quickly come in here and set our tab order. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be read only. 5, 6, 7, 8. Another view tab order. And as soon as I make that read only, everything is now set up. Good. Let's take a quick look at it. Whoops. As always, set the startup project to test project 8. Looks good. Okay. As far as I can tell, at least, everything is done as far as what we have to set up in here. Now, if we go in and do this, let's just do it like this. Let's make this real simple. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to put in a number. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to put in a number. And I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to divide that number by that number to get a result. All right, so let's go to calculate. And I'm going to say, we'll just do it like this. We'll do ints. Int number 1 equal int dot parse. We'll do a try parse. So int 32 dot try parse. We'll do it on txt number 1 dot text, and we'll put the output into so int number 2 semicolon semicolon, and we're going to make another thing in here that's going to be a Boolean result. All right, and I'm going to come in here and say result is equal to the try parse of txt number1 dot text, and we'll put the out into number1. And if it's not result, meaning it didn't work, we will just we'll do a show message, and we will say non-numeric input. You must enter a number. All right. And boom. Then we will clear out whatever happens to be in there. So txt number1 dot text is going to be equal to nothing. And finally, we'll give it the focus. All right, well, that's the first thing. Now, we didn't write a show message yet, so let's write that. Okay, that should work. All right, and if this is the case, we will return because it's an error. All right, then I'm going to copy every bit of code that's in there. And this will now be 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. Okay, so if I get down to this point right here, I put in a number for number1 and I put in a number for number2. Good, that's what I wanted. Let's do one more thing here. I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. And I'm going to come here. Let me unlock these controls. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit. About like that. Then I'm going to come into here. And we will put in a combo box. And I'm going to make this, oops, I didn't want to do that. I'm going to make this combo box a little bigger too. So I think we made these 22. That looks a little better. Look pretty much the same now. This will say operation. And we'll make this LBL operation. And we will make this CBO operation. Now, nothing tricky here as far as this. Let's just put in the values right in items right away. Let's just put them in. So I'm going to put down, please enter operation, a plus, a minus, a multiply, and a divide, just like that. Okay, that should be good. So let me do this. Let me make sure everything is locked. And it is. All right, I'm going to redo my tab order because I didn't have this in here originally. And I don't know. I'm thinking about this right now. I'm probably going to not like the fact I'm going to do this, but I am anyway. That is, I'm going to, whoops, not those. Doggone you, Jeff. I'm going to take this operation and move it down to the bottom. I'm going to take this and move it down here. And now I'm going to take this and move it up here. I don't know if I want to do that really or not, but that is what I'm going to do. So, lock my controls. And I'm going to come in here with View Tab Order. And I'm going to reset this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Another View Tab Order. So run this again. All right. And I do have the operations are in there. All right. Let's make sure that when we start this up, I want to set the operation. So CBO operation dot selected index equals 0. That's all I think I want to do here. So it should say, please enter an operation. Okay, that's good. Now we don't have any of the code in here yet, but I want to put in here like 37, divide, and 0. All right, something like that. Then I want to click calculate. I want the result to show here. So let's take a look at all that. All right. When we clear, we want to clear, set that back to 0, clear, clear. Exit is what we always do on exit. Okay. So let's see. Did I save that from before? Probably was too stupid to, and I was. Let's see. We'll come back to any one of these. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to steal that code that's there. That's the code for our exit button. Let's get rid of that. And that. Bring that back. Okay, this will be calculate in just a moment. We've already started on that. That'll be clear, and that'll be exit. So it'll be our old exit program or not. So there's that. For our clear, again, we'll call clear controls. And again, we want to say txt number 1 dot text is going to be equal to nothing, nothing. Txt number 2 dot text is going to be equal to nothing. CBO operation dot selected index will be 0. Txt result dot text will be equal to nothing. And I think that's everything except txt number 1 dot, not docus, focus. All right, I think that's everything I want to do. Let's check. So file, save all. Come in here, put in something in here, and something in here, and something in here. Click clear. It all cleared. There's my cursor. It's back to please enter an operation. Exit works as well. Okay, now I think I put in some code in here already. So if I don't put anything into number 1 or number 2, I'm going to get a message. Let's double check that. So with nothing in here, you must enter a number, non-numeric input, and I'm there. All right, that should also work for anything like this. You must enter a number, cleared, and it went there. Okay. You must enter a number, good. You must enter a number, good. All right, all that's done. All right. So the only thing that's left to do in here is to check on my operation. So if CBO operation dot selected index is less than or equal to 0, all right, then we're again going to do this, and we're going to say no operation selected, and you must select an operation. There's nothing to clear, there's nothing to give focus to, so I can just return. So let's see if that works. All right, so if I put in a number here and I put in a number here, but there's not anything there, you must select an operation. Good. Okay. And if I do select an operation, nothing's happening. And that's good because I haven't told anything to happen yet. All right. Okay, so if we get down to here, I can now do a switch on CBO selected index. If it's a 1, all right, then I can basically I can say txt result.text equal, in fact, I don't want to do it like that. I want to do the operation. I'm going to make another field here that's called answer. And I'm going to make it a double. So here I'm going to say answer equal number 1 plus number 2. TXT, and I didn't make answer. TXT result equal answer dot toString. Okay, and break. What do we say answer was up here? Double answer. Set it equal to 0.0 up here. TXT result dot text equals that. There we go. Go away. There we are. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's okay. We're going to fix all these if we get errors here. 2, and that's got to be a subtract. 3, and that's got to be a multiply. And 4, and that'll be a divide. Finally, after 20 minutes, 23 minutes, and 40-some seconds, this should be now working. But very, very crude little calculator. So we'll put in here 456 plus 341. There's our result. Good. We can subtract. Good. We can multiply. Good. And we can divide. Good. All right. Well, that's giving us 1 because we're doing an int divided by an int. We'll fix that in a minute. Clear works. Exit works. Fantastic. All right. Let's fix a couple things here. First, I want all these to be centered. That's just me in the quirky way I am about things. And okay, I can't do them all together. I can do these 3 together because they're all text boxes. So I can text align, center. This, I believe, it's such a pain in the butt to try to take this and center it. It just doesn't work very well. So I'm going to leave that the way it is. All right. So everything is done there. Yeah, that's done. Boom, boom, boom. Everything is done. So if I do come in and let's do the thing for the divide. I'm going to make this a double. In fact, I'll make them both doubles. It's not hurting anything anyway, so. All right, so now that should work. Let's do something simple. We'll do 11 and 8. All right, 11 plus 8, 11 minus 8, 11 times 8, and 11 divided by 8. Okay, that's good. All right, I could do this to 2 decimal places. Really and truly doesn't matter. This is the point. Now I'm going to come here and I'm going to do this. 37 and 0. And I'm going to calculate. And it gives me infinity. I don't want it to do that. In other words, if this second thing here, if that second thing that's in there is a 0, all right, how do I handle that? Well, let's go back to something we talked about in an earlier class. How about this? How about a try? And we'll put all this stuff in here. All right, and I'm going to say here, if number 2 equals 0, and I need that in parentheses, of course, I'm going to throw a new divide by 0 exception. All right, if it gets down here, it wasn't. So down here, I'm going to do a catch, and I'll try to catch 2 of them. I'll try to catch first a divide by 0 exception, divide by 0 exception, and if that's the case, I will again do my show message, and we'll put in here illegal attempt to divide by 0. All right, so that'll be the message. For the title, we'll just say illegal divide. Okay, that'll fix that. Then we will come back and again we will say txt number 2 dot, we'll just do a focus. We won't remove what's there. Maybe they want that, but we'll do a dot focus. All right. Now, if there's any other kind of error, all right, so if that's the case, and I'm going to put a return here too. Oops, not there, or here. All right, my clock is going off. You can probably hear it, so I'm going to pause. All right, then to continue on, if this is the case, so if there was anything other exception, I'll again do the same thing here, but I'll change the message to unknown exception occurred. And we'll do the same thing here, just make it unknown exception. Okay, just like that. All right. Let's see if this works. In fact, when we do this DB, I'm not using that right now, so let's use that too. right, so we'll have the message there. All right. So, oops, got an error. Got a few errors here. Plus sign there. Is that everything? Yeah. We'll add this here too, plus. So if there is some kind of another exception there, we'll use that there. Okay. So if I do a 37 and I do a divide and I do a 0, it now threw that illegal attempt to divide by 0, attempted to divide by 0. And it resets the cursor there so I can change it. All right. Okay. That's all fine. That's all dandy. Now let me clear. And right now, maybe I've written this program too well, because notice, if I come in and do something I shouldn't be doing, in other words, if that's bad and I leave that, that's all going to be handled. See that? So everything is being handled right now. Well, that's actually a good way to write your program. So let's leave this here and let's talk about what the problems could be. First of all, when you get an error in your program, all right, typically you go into what's called break mode, which means you're not in control. There's really about 3 different modes you can be in when you are creating your program. So if I'm in here and I'm just keying stuff in, I'm in design mode. If I'm running the program, all right, and the program stops because there's some kind of an error, I go into what's called break mode. If I'm running the program and there is no error, and I put in 37 and 12 and I hit the add and it gives me 49, I'm in execution mode. So really that's kind of the 3 things I can be in right there. So as it says here, you will enter break mode when you encounter an exception. All right. Now, they've talked about this a little bit in here. All right. Now, notice there's some convert, etc. All right. And like I said, probably I wrote this a little bit too well. And if you say, I don't understand what you mean, let's take a look and see if there's a way we can virtually break our program. All right. So in here, where I've got this try parse for the number 1. Right here. Okay, in fact, I'm going to take all of this for the number 1 and the number 2, and just for a second at least, I'm going to comment it all out. It's all commented out. Now I'm going to run the program, and you'll notice it's giving me errors. It says, hey, you tried to come in here and do something with number 1. All right, so I'll have to go and fix that. We'll change this when we keep it real simple. All right, I'm going to keep it real simple. And I'm going to say number 1 equals int dot parse txt number 1 dot text. Number 2 equals int, and the same thing. But now I'm purposely going to allow errors in here. So I'm going to leave this blank and hit calculate. There we go. We are now in break mode. Input string was not in a correct format. Why? Because we came in here and we tried to do a parse and there was nothing in there to parse. The same thing would happen if we came in there and rather than leaving it blank, I put in something that was non-numeric. Same thing. Input string was not in the correct format. So I could have also looked in here and done a thing for a system format exception. We could have done that as well. Now I handled this one by using an if statement. And this one, we handle this one by using a try-catch. So as always, there's a lot of different ways that you can handle your code when you run into error conditions. So let me go back to this, and I'm going to uncomment it. Okay. Just again, to just kind of show you what's going on here. That's all. So the author mentions that there's 4 ways to enter break mode. Force an unhandled exception to be thrown. It's kind of what I just showed you. Set a breakpoint and run the app. Choose debug step into or press F11. Choose debug break all while the app is executing. Well, let's do the F11. All right, and I'm not going to be able to because, again, it acts funky when I'm trying to tape. So rather than F11, I'm going to keep doing a debug step into. So let's go back to the program. And I'm going to run debug step into. And it shows us what's happening. It's calling main. All right, I want to do another debug step into. Now it's calling that. These are all system calls that are here. Debug step into, and it calls that. Another debug step into, and now it calls that. Now I'm going to do another debug step into, and it should show my form. So debug step into, nope, not yet. Okay, it's still setting some stuff up. So let's keep going. Debug, I'm letting you see right now what's being called. All right, these are all internal system files where basically what it's doing is it's setting up the way the form is going to look. Now I can just keep doing this. But I think you get the idea. So I could keep running my program a line at a time like that. The other thing that I can do is I can go down to my program itself. I can close this. But I can go into my program and I can say, you know what? Right when I get here, by this switch statement, can we put a breakpoint over here? I got to stop the run. I think that's what's goofing it up. Here we go. All right. I know I could set, why isn't it allowing me to set breakpoints? Oh, because I'm in the wrong area. It's got to be over here. So there's a breakpoint. That's another way to stop the run. So now I'm going to do this. I am going to come in here and put in some numbers. 346 times and 19. And I'm going to click calculate. And I jump right to here. Now I can look in here, and this is called my locals window, and I can check the value of different things. Or I can just take my mouse and I can put it up here. So let's see. It's letting me know the selected index is 3. All right. The items.count is 5. Also, if I look in here, I can see, all right, I can see that number 2 is equal to 19 and number 1 is equal to 346. So this window that you see in here is a locals window where you can see there's number 1, 346, number 2, 19, result was true. The answer is 0 because I haven't figured out the answer yet. All right, I know this is going to be a multiplication. So if I go down to where the multiplication is, but I want to do it before the break, all right, and I'd want to set another breakpoint right there. So I can tell it to continue now by clicking continue, and it stopped again. Now this has run. Notice number 1, 346, number 2, 19. Answer looks like I can't even read that. 6,574. It's also here. So this is a way using breakpoints that I can go and debug my program. All right. If I click again, it's just basically going to stop. So I'm going to exit. All right. You can set multiple breakpoints. The breakpoint runs before the line is executed. So there's a difference between putting that there and putting it here. All right. If I don't want the breakpoints anymore, I can delete them by right mouse clicking, or I can just disable them, which means they remain there, but they don't run anymore. All right. So let's see what else we have in here. If an unhandled exception occurs, Visual Studio enters break mode, displays the exception helper, which is this thing right here, and highlights the statement that was executing when the exception occurred. Data tips allow you to see different things while you're in break mode. It just showed you those. The hot reload feature is something, as it says, that's new in Visual Studio 2022. Notice what it says. You can make changes to your app and apply them while the app is running. I'm going to suggest that while you're learning, don't use that. All right, we'll talk about that in class. Breakpoints I just showed you. Now, as far as controlling execution in the app, I'll let you read this yourselves, but I will tell you, you know that when you either hit F5 or click that, the program begins. If you do a Control-Alt-Break or you click this, the program will stop. It's in a state of suspension. If you click this or do a Shift F5, boom, you stop debugging and execution ends. That might be important if, for example, you were ever in an infinite loop. You can restart an app with a Control Shift F5. You can tell it to display the next statement to be executed by clicking that right arrow button. Then there's the 3 function keys. Step into, I showed you. That's executing a statement at a time. All right. Step over does the same thing, except when you call a method, I believe it does just like it's like one line, even if it's multiple lines. It handles the whole method as though it's one line. And step out, that can be important if you've got a real long loop or something like that, and you don't want it to run maybe 1,000 times. All right, in addition, there's a run to cursor and a set next statement. With run to cursor, as it says, you can put your app, it's like setting a breakpoint, but you can click on a certain line, and if you choose the run to cursor, the program will run until it gets to that line and then it'll stop. The set next statement, as is shown right there, as it says, it sets the statement that contains the insertion point as the next statement to be executed. All right, there's not really a lot more in here to talk about. There are debugging windows. I already showed you the locals window. You've already seen this. As it says, it displays information about the variables within the current scope. Nothing new there. All right. There's also a watch window. As it says, by default, watch windows are located in the group of windows in the lower left corner of Visual Studio. If the watch window isn't available, you can display it by pulling it down on the debug menu. The difference between watch and the locals window is with watch, typically, you put a watch on a variable. Then as the program is running, you can see the status of that variable at any time. All right. So as it says, the watch windows let you view the value of watch expressions while an app is in break mode. There's other things you can do here. There's an immediate window. Some people love this. Some people hate this. but as an example, so you see the immediate window here. All right. Let's see. Display it, debug Windows immediate command. Okay, I'm going to run this, and just like we did before, I'm going to come in here and just put a breakpoint right there. It's kind of arbitrary where I put it. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to run this, and I'm going to put in 456 and 91, and I'm going to tell it I want it to add. All right, calculate. Now it stopped right there, and it lets me know where things are. That's all cool. It also here shows me what's called the call stack, so it's showing me what routines were called. All right, starting with the last one called. Now, if I come in here and do a debug, and well, I got to remember again how I did that. A debug Windows immediate. So debug, where is Windows? Debug Windows immediate. I get a new window over here, and there's all sorts of stuff I can do. For instance, I can type in answer, and it shows me what my answer was. But I can do other stuff. For instance, I could literally, if I wanted to, create a whole program in here. So I could type in int x equal 23. Oh, it didn't like that. Okay. Let's see if it could say this. 23 times 7. I'm doing math. My program is in a mode of suspension, and in the immediate window, if there was something I wanted to do in the interim, I could do it in there. All right? You might very well go through your whole programmatic career and very rarely, if ever, use that. But it's available if you are interested. All right. In here, they talk about when you're building the program that you do get information that's in here that you can take a look at. Sometimes that can be helpful, especially if something fails. All right, writing data to an output window. That's right and right line. We've used that. Nothing new in there. Finally, the last thing I believe that's in here is the visualizer. As it says, it includes a feature called the visualizer that can display the value of a string or a collection in a way that's easy for you to visualize. All right, so you can look at that in here. It's just another way you can debug. I'm not going to go into it any more than that. That's it for this chapter. Not too long. Next, we're going to jump into the next part of the book, section 3. You're going to probably find this a little bit different. We'll put it that way. So I'll be back with that shortly.